Good morning and welcome to TAPP Talk Live. This is number 46 and welcome if you've just joined us online. It's good to see you here. We're going to cover today how to choose your water filter, and we're just going to look at these 7 items here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These 7 items here, and this is a way of trying to work through how to choose your water filter. They're fairly short and they're fairly simple, but we'll look at each one as we go along. If you're joining us live, you can ask any questions in the comments box, either on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, and I'll be able to see them and we'll respond accordingly. And also, if you're watching the recording, pop your comments in the comments box below the video, and also subscribe to us. You'll see the button down there on YouTube, and then you'll get all the information as it comes out. And also, if you want to have a look at the website, see the past recordings and the schedule, just go to tappwater.mt/live. So let's get into how to choose your water filter. The first thing we're going to look at is, what's your budget? Okay, so let's do the first thing. What's your budget? Now, I always start with budget because it is a consideration, obviously, when you're starting. The first thing to think about is, if you change to a water filter system from plastic bottles, you're going to save a load of money. Tap water, for instance, is 10 times cheaper than plastic bottles. So that's the first thing. Now, if you've got a budget that extends into these, let's say 500 plus, you could look at systems like reverse osmosis and under the sink systems and water softeners that do the whole house, for instance, and all sorts of things like that. You need sort of 500 to 1,000 plus. You could get cheaper reverse osmosis systems, but you do have to be very careful when you go to the cheaper end. The cheaper you go, you'll find the amount of water wasted will increase. And the more expensive you go, obviously you've got more investment, you've probably got more maintenance and more costs and things like that. Here at Tap Water, we have filter systems that start at €59 for something like this, €50 if you manage to get the 15% discount, and I'll share that with you later. And so yes, you can start at about €50, and this will pay for itself really quickly. This is 1,200 litres. So that's what, 600 plastic bottles, which would have cost you €300. So that kind of pays for itself really quickly, depending on how much water you actually use. You can use that filter for 3 months. And the annual cost, if you're investing something like between €85 to €110, you'll get any of our products in an annual pack. So budget is your first consideration. There are cheaper ways of starting, which is like €50, and the annual packs sort of vary in price between 85 to 110, something like that. Now, the next thing, number 2 on the list, is like, have you got any special requirements? Is there something that you're particularly focused on? For instance, young couple with a baby, for instance, you may be interested in, like, what's the best water filter for a baby? Well, actually, any of our water filters are good for babies, so that's something to think about. But, for instance, you may want a water filter attached to your kitchen mixer, because that's easy to handle, for instance, if you have baby in arm, rather than, let's say, a pitcher filter like this, which filters the water as it pours out, but a consideration if you've also got a baby in arms at the same time. So people need to think about things like that. Bacteria levels. In Malta, we don't have a problem with bacteria in the water, for instance, but if you wanted to eliminate 99.9% of bacteria, then you might want to use something like this. This is the ultrafiltration device. We normally use this for situations where you're getting water from a well or a tank. In fact, I use this one at home because my water comes from a tank, even though it shouldn't, and my drinking water comes from a tank. So if you're using a well, a borehole, barrels of water, or tank water, for instance, if you're in the penthouse, we've helped people out with situations like that. You would want something like this because it's very good on the bacteria side. But you have to choose between like an advantage on one side and a downside on the other. The Echo Pro deals with limescale far better than the ultrafiltration device. So you have to take into consideration things like that. If you're focused on, for instance, microplastics, antibacterials, or pharmaceuticals, and you wanted to remove that from the water, then all these filters will do that for you. And if you're focused on heavy metals, the Echo Pro with the larger filter is going to do that well. It has, for instance, you can hear, let me take the filter out for you. That sound that you can hear there, that is the sound of some beads that remove limescale and things like that, and also help with the reduction of heavy metals. So special requirements, that's another way of thinking about it. What about how many plastic bottles are you using? So really, from any point of view, if you're using any plastic bottles at all, from let's say 1 pack a week, I tend to work in packs, so 1 pack of 6 bottles of those 2 litres. If you're working on 1 pack a week upwards, you're going to save money. Okay. The filter capacity is probably something to think about. So this one is the Echo Pro. This does 1,200 litres over a maximum of 3 months. 3 months is the important time limit because it's 3 months because if you because of possible bacteria build-up inside the filter. So if I get out a filter unit to actually show you, here's a filter unit that has been used at 3 months. You can see how it goes a different colour, and at that point it's starting to reduce it's starting to be less effective eliminating the bacteria. Normally, as you're flushing water through all the time, it's eliminating the bacteria for you all the time. But after about 3 months, it gets much less effective at doing that. So we would change this filter at 3 months or after 1,200 litres. So if you're using 3 packs of water a week, or 4 packs of water a week or even more, then you'll be fine with one of these because the amount of plastic bottles you're using or the amount of litres of water that you're using, you're going to fit within the 1,200 litres. What you may find is that you're going to use more litres coming through here than you would if you were using plastic bottles. Why? Well, because you think more about using the plastic bottles because they cost you more money. So therefore you might use it in your water for drinking, or you might use it in the kettle. But for instance, you wouldn't use it for cooking. That's quite a common thing when I've been to people's houses and families, and that's what they've told me. However, if you're using a tap water filter, you get much more filtered water because you can use it for cooking. You can use it for the plants, and you can use it for the pets as well because they love it. So if you were considering you were using maybe 2-3 packs a week, something like that, or 1-2-3 packs a week, this is great. This is the Echo Pro Compact. This little filter here, let me just show you on this screen. This little filter here is 400 litres. So this one would do 400 litres. And that might be good if you were, let's say, 1 or 2 people in a house. 400 litres will last you 2 months. Or if you're 3 people in the house, 3 or 4 people in the house, 400 litres might last you 1 month. So you change this filter every single month. And that's another way of thinking about it. How many plastic bottles are you using is a way of indicating sort of how much water you're going to be using. Again, if you were using far less, for instance, you might consider something like this, the Bottle Pro. This has got a filter inside the bottle, so you can fill this up anywhere. And you might also consider the capacity of this. This is 600 litres over a maximum of 3 months. Of course, you can change the filters earlier, but 600 litres over a maximum of 3 months. So that's probably something like 150, no, it's a little bit more, isn't it? It's 200 litres a month. So you could be on sort of anything between 8 and 10 litres over your month. Whereas something like this, 6 litres or 2 plastic bottles, you would be changing this every 2 months, and more than that, you'd be changing it every month. And whatever you're using, this is going to be fine. This is what we started with, and we launched a couple of years ago in Malta. This is what we started with. You just change it at 3 months, and you'll never get to your 1,200 litres unless you're really using a lot of water. How many people in your household? Actually, I use that as an indication as well. It's not just about the plastic bottles, because again, once you're using a water filter on your tap, you'll have more filtered water, which is a good thing. So that's another way of judging it. So for instance, if you only use 1 pack a week, but you've got 4 people in your household, you'll be using more filtered water because you've probably been economizing. Sorry about that. You've been economizing on your water filter. So yes, I have a little bit of problem with my other camera, so I apologize for that. I forgot to switch it on and off just before I came to broadcast. How many people in your household? That sort of is a good indicator. It's quite easy to work out which filter is good for you. This one is great, 1 person in the house. This one is great, 2 people in the house. This one works good for 3 people in the house. And possibly 4, depending on your lid. At 3 or 4, you're going to be changing it every month. At 1 or 2, at 1 or 2 people, you'll be changing it every 2 months. Nice and simple, right? This, 1 person to 6 people, you'll be absolutely fine changing this every 3 months. If you're in an office and you have 10 people, you'll probably change it every other month. If you have more than 10 people, you'll probably be changing it every month. This one, the bottle, which is the Pitcher Pro, sorry. This one, with 600 litres over a maximum of 3 months. 1 person in the house, absolutely fine. 2 people in the house, absolutely fine. 3 plus, absolutely fine, depending on how much you drink, but you may want to change your water filter more often. And finally, the new kid on the block, the Bottle Pro. This, obviously, is a 1-person unit. So however many people in your household will determine how many of these you want to buy or who's using it. So this is great if it's for you. I keep it for myself, this one. I've had this for 4 months. It's great. What type of household do you live in? Actually, that's quite an important one as well. And there's a very special reason why. If you take something like this, this is the Echo Pro. This is great if you live in a shared household, so there's lots of different people. Being a bigger unit, it sits on your tap and it's much easier for lots of people to use. Now, teenagers, if you have teenagers or smaller adults in your house, this again is a good unit to have because it's bigger and it's easier for everyone to use. If it's just 2 people in the house or 1 person in the house, this works really well because you're reliably using it yourself. And this also is great. This is there's no issue with this. This is great as well. But as 1 or 2 people in the house, this works really well also. Obviously, if you've got lots of teenagers in the house, you may want to think about whether this is going to get dropped. Not that I'm saying teenagers are clumsy, of course. I didn't say that. But you never know. If you don't have the grip, for instance, on your hands, because you may be a little bit older, again, you may find that something like the Compact works better for you. But we have all sorts of people using the Pitcher Pro because it looks great and it is actually really easy to use. Lifestyle. Yeah, that's one I think about or I get asked about. If you're on the go all the time and you need to carry lots of water with you, something like this is really useful for that. If you're into exercise or biking or trekking and all sorts of things like that, this is great for that because you can fill this bottle up virtually anywhere and drink the water from it. If you didn't want to do that, for instance, but you still want to carry water around with you, I have 3 of these on the go most of the time and try and carry water. But, I don't want to be carrying water around all the time, so I use the filter straight into here and then and then carry it around. But I've got on really well with this because I find I can fill it up all the time. So it'll last me all day long and it's just one bottle. So I find that really useful. Okay, if you are moving house quite often, this is going to work really well, the Echo Pro. If you're renting, for instance, you'll be able to move this to your next place. And the Echo Pro Compact, also good if you're renting, also good if you've got a permanent house. However, if you want to travel, this is great. I travelled with this to Cyprus, actually, and it was wonderful. It worked really well. So that's, depending on your lifestyle, that might be something to think about. And finally, aesthetics or cosmetics. Or are you just a practical person? I say just a practical person. I'm probably more practical, as it were, rather than how it looks. So this, the TAPP Eco Pro, which is the larger unit, I think it looks great on the tap, and I did from the first moment I got it. So that's great. However, some people say, I don't know, I'd rather have a chrome one, for instance. And you could have a nice chrome one of these, which is the TAPP Eco Pro. They're arriving on around for October the 18th, and we have a special offer. You'll see another one of the videos online about that. A chrome one of these, or people would have one of these because they want the smaller profile. The Picture Pro comes into that because this looks really smart if you put it on your table, put it on the dining room table, or you have it in the office, for instance, you have it on your desk. It's really great for that. And again, the Bottle Pro. This is a really practical water filter. You take it wherever you go and you can get it filled up, and it also looks good. So that might be something that's important. So that is the 7 things that we look at that you might want to consider when you're thinking about how to choose a water filter. Think about your budget. We start between 59 to 99. Start at €50, for instance, for 3 months, and then move to 99 for a whole year's worth of packs. Special requirements, ultrafiltration, great for removing all bacteria, but for instance, not so good with limescale. If limescale's a problem, Echo Pro does that really well. Echo Pro Compact also does that. So that's something to think about. If microplastics or babies, for instance, are something you're thinking about, then both of these are absolutely great for that. How many plastic bottles that you are using, and how many people in your household. Really, that's something to do with the capacity of the filter and how often you want to change it, which is also part of the sort of practicality thing. This design means you only have to change the filter every 3 months. You don't have to worry about it. It's 3 months. It's 1,200 litres. So you don't have to worry about capacity or anything. You just change it every 3 months. Nice and easy. You buy 4 filters a year, like that, for €69, and it lasts you all year. This is slightly different because you're either going to change it every month or you'll change it every other month. Now, whichever, it's either 6 or 12 filters a year. I guess it's kind of easy, really. You know, some people might find it really easy. Oh, I'll just change it on the 1st of the month. Nice and easy. Change it on the 1st of every other month. So it kind of just depends with that. And the Picture Pro, really easy. Just change it every 3 months. Kind of people in your household. Again, we're just talking about how many people are going to be using this. This might be better in situations of shared houses or teenagers. This might be better for couples and just a few people in the house. And, you know, what's your lifestyle, whether you want to carry lots of water around with you, in which case this is great because you can fill it up anywhere. And also the practicality or the design. So those are the 7 things we think about. It's been wonderful to have you here today. Thank you very much for joining us. We're live from Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. If you've got any comments or questions, please do stick them in the box below and we'll come back to you. And we'll see you on Monday next week, European Sustainable Development Week. And we have 7 great sustainable stories to tell you from other people. So that'll be good, and I'm looking forward to that. That starts on Tuesday next week, and I'll see you there for that. Thank you for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you next week.